And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Lakers Snack Pack, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. And on this week's episode, hoping Melinda will be available later tonight. If she is, we will record it. It is my best of pop culture for 2023. Plus, we'll talk about the Xbox Developers Direct and more. So go ahead and check it out, hopefully, wherever you get your podcast this weekend. And also, as well, of course, Joe Soros here. Please check out his evening nightcap, the Lakers nightcap, with Joe Soros here. He's not doing an episode tonight, but he will be tomorrow. So go ahead and check that out tomorrow night, late night, right here on the Lakers Fast Break channel. Plus, he owns a company, Simblades, SimBladesWithAY.com, and you know him as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Our good friends, Jamie Sweet and Laker Tom, they're throwing my schedule all over the place behind the scenes on deciding when they want to go ahead and stop on by the show this weekend. And otherwise, they're making my life crazy as is. But hopefully, we'll get a chance to hear from them this weekend. You heard Jamie Sweet last night. Very good conversation between him and Joe. So go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Lakerholics.com along with Laker Tom. And of course, our good friends. I think the Larry Lakers dribbling chit chat has gone dark. I will have to reach out to Tony B because I actually loved him having him on the show. So hopefully he can join us here if he did shut down his channel. So very sad to hear that if that'd be the case. But also as well, John Costa has his channels, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Go ahead and check him out. He told us he wants to be a bigger part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break, and it almost brought a tear to my eye because it was just really good hearing what he had to say about how excited he is every time he comes on the show. So it's great to have him here. Plus also, of course, go ahead and check out our good friends, Empire Jeff TV. I know he has a group show on tonight that you need to go ahead and check out as they discuss the NBA. Plus also, of course, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He's right below saying hi to everyone out there. Check out his channel. Subscribe today. Also as well, John McCalian. And of course, there you go. I think I got all the channels. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of all the channels that you need to subscribe to, please subscribe to this one. That's right, the Lakers Fast Break. And if you haven't already, please do so. We're almost at 1,300 subscribers. And if you can, it is sincerely appreciated. Our Facebook, we're almost at 600 followers. So go ahead, like and follow that as well. Twitch, Twitter, wherever you see us, go ahead and please like and follow today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Daniel Berry says we should get Caruso, please. You know what? Seeing how Pascal Siakam went for 3 first-round draft picks, I know that he's not at that level, but Caruso is a notch below. I think the starting asking price, ultimately, we don't know if that's going to be happen or not, but probably be 2 first-round draft picks. And if that's the case, there's teams bidding on him, then that probably gets the Lakers out of the equation on that one, which would be unfortunate, and that would be really sad. But the Lakers are back to 500, and in their quest, they've had 2 of their more impressive victories of the season against Oklahoma City and Dallas. Is it an anomaly, or are the Lakers starting to figure things out? We'll go ahead and talk about that on today's show. Plus, I got another email from Rodell. How about that? About something I said about Jared Vanderbilt and how he is okay with Jared Vanderbilt's offensive game or lack thereof. Should we be okay with Jared Vanderbilt's lack of offensive game? We'll talk about that on the show as well. But here today is a good man indeed. He is the host of Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soros, the guy who loves that music at the beginning. Joe, there are other people that love that music too, according to what YouTube tells me. It is a good man indeed. It is Oxide T47. It is Joe Soros. So, Joe, I point the question out to you. Lakers have won 2 in a row. They're back to 500. They're back in the top 10 in the Western Conference. They have some easy games ahead of them in Portland and Brooklyn, starting with Brooklyn tomorrow night. Now's the time. They still have a chance to go ahead and go on a little bit of a streak here 3 out of the next 4 are pretty easy. Your thoughts, my friend? Are the Lakers with this new old starting lineup and this rotation that Ham seems set on being fixed to? Does that mean that the Lakers are starting to figure things out?
I don't think we can make that assessment at the moment. We could say that the talent issue might be least of their worries, which makes sense because we were pretty confident that the team was fully equipped to be being a 50-win team. But there's a mental block maybe with the team, and the last two games we haven't seen it, but we also have to understand that when you're watching the game, there's certain things the game will tell you as well. They played better on defense, but there was also shooting woes on both those teams, Dallas and Oklahoma City. They were not shooting as well as some teams usually shoot against us. So that has to play into this. I know it's half class, half full type mentality, but it's true. Like if they're making those shots, if they make 45% from that from let's say 3 point from the 3 point line, now we're talking about a different game. And I know you can say that to any game, but uh, I'm just not gonna fall for it at this point. I'm not. I think I did a couple times during the year, especially right after the tournament. I just I need to see a couple weeks worth to really assess it correctly. And that's kind of where I stand on that. As far as going back into the copyright law issue with the show, I'm that's the hardest part about hosting your own show is you can't put your personality in this. You're sitting there scouring the internet on how you can pay to give credit, right? Like I don't want anything for free. I want to pay for the good work that people do out there. But the problem is I can't talk to anybody. I keep hearing, okay, well, this is royalty free. Then you're like, okay, cool. I'll find a song. Then you start trying to put it on there, and well, it's not like that. Well, make up your minds. What do you want? I'll pay you for your service. There's, I've done logos for businesses of mine. I pay the guy. He does the logo. He gives me I pay him. He gives me the rights to it, and there we go. But with this music thing in YouTube, it's like, dude, tell me what the hell to do, and stop telling me on your. You're like, what's with the fine print? Why am I getting fine print on a song? Like, just tell me who to pay. So I still got to figure out how that all kind of will work out. I might need to hire a musician to actually make a song, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see how that develops. But as far as tomorrow night's game, I don't. I'm trying to remember. Have we won 3 in a row this year yet?
Yeah, we've won 3 in a row. Yeah.
Have we won 4 in a row?
That I would have to look up, and I'll look that up right now while you're talking. But yeah, I'm not sure. I will go ahead and find out.
By the end of Sunday night, we're sitting for the first time knowing that we've won 4 in a row and having a perfect week. Let's try to get a perfect week here, and then we can then start assessing whether this team mentally is starting to get to that part of basketball where they're
Yeah, they
understanding
won
it.
4 in a row.
Okay,
They have.
okay. Uh, well, let's try to get that done this week. Then let's have an undefeated week. Let's start making up some ground here from games that they've lost, and that's kind of how I'm looking at the rest of the way here. I don't want to focus too much on what predictions we need to make. Predictions are out the door at this point. Go in at home tomorrow, win, go home. Portland is going to be in town on Sunday. These are both winnable games, and try to close these out early so that LeBron and AD can sit. That would be my mentality. That would be me if I'm Darvin Ham and trying to explain to the guys, all right, guys, we got a couple of games here we should be able to get, and let's try to see if we can salvage some time for the boys. That's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment.
Once again, it is Joe Soro. Please check out Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro whenever he has it, starting for tomorrow night's show. Late night, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Jared says, Joe, Gerald can sing. No, he already spoke about my singing, about how much he dislikes it. So I guess I don't want to go ahead and, you know, rain on his parade at the beginning of every show. He's got a
Not
good
enough.
show going.
Yeah, not enough bass. In I'm a big bass guy when
Okay.
it comes to my music, and Gerald, I don't. Gerald wasn't gifted the bass part of music.
No, there you go. But when it comes right down to it, Joe, the Lakers do have, again, some easy games on the schedule. You're right about that. The only game I think is tough is the road game. It's technically a road game. The road game at the Clippers. That one will be a problem. I think the Clippers will be up for that game because they lost the last game against the Lakers. They've lost the last two, I believe, against the
Yes, they
Lakers, if
have.
I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
they
So
have.
yeah, I think they'll be up for that game. So that one will be tough, but there's no reason why if they don't go on a 6-for-8 run or a 7-of-9 run, something like that, that could really get the team going in the right direction. And that's something I see according to the schedule. That's something that they very could feasibly do. But I said this at the beginning of the year when they had all these home games. And I thought that was going to be something where they would take advantage of that schedule, and they didn't do it for the first 2 weeks of this year. So I don't know. Two impressive wins. It looks like things are a little bit better shape. It looks like things have solidified. But again, so far from this season, they're 500. It's been an up and down ride. I'm not so sure.
Well, they can make up some ground here. It's a Clipper home game, but it's still a home game in my book. You have the opportunity for the next four games at home to really make up some ground. You have four games before you have to go to the Grammy trip of six straight games on the road. And if you're looking at it from a common sense standpoint, let's look at it this way. If you win the next four games, you're on a six-game winning streak. Your record is 25-21. And then you go on this six-game road trip. If you come back optimistically, let's say 4-2, now you're looking at a 29 and 23 record. That's, to me, probably a 6-7 seed at that point. If we go by what we've been seeing in the standings this year so far, you're 29-23. Now you're going to be hitting that February West Coast only month we talked about at the beginning of the year. You're not going to be leaving the West Coast for a month. Now you can go in and really make up some ground because you're not going to be traveling across the country. You're just not. I think there might be one. I think there might be one trip somewhere in there in Utah, but it's later. I have to look at the schedule again and see. But the Lakers have kind of run out of their get out of jail free cards here. They used up too many of those in games they probably should have had. They should have had at least five more games. I had said 10 before, but realistically, cut that in half, and they should have won five more games. They should be sitting at 26 and 16 at this point in my book. You have enough talent to have a 26-16 record. So they've lost out on that opportunity, and now it's time for them to make up that ground. And there's no better time to do it right now at home for the next week. Yes, the Clippers are going to be tough, but you need to make up for it still and still win that game. Now, if we want to go simple, let's say, okay, let's say they win tomorrow, they win Sunday, they lose to the Clippers, and they beat Chicago to, go into the six-game road trip on a pretty darn good note. They end up winning, what is that, five games out of the six?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we'll take that, but you got to make sure that road trip is – you got to come back from that road trip with at least a winning record. Winning record is 4-2. 3-3, yeah, would be, but then you're right back to being average again, right? So you got to at some point improve here. You got to somehow figure out a way to get beyond the average, because right now they are average
That's the
on the
500
dot.
record.
On the dot. And if you're looking at this next week or so from a completely objective standpoint, you're looking at the Lakers going on the average. Are they going to finish up 30 and 30 after the next 18 games? Is that really what we have to look forward to? I hope not. We have the Lakers have to get really they really have to get a first round home court advantage position. That's going to be tough now. It's going to be really, really, really tough. You're looking at the standings now, and it's January 18th, which means you got February, March, and April. You got 3 months to try and get into that fourth seed. And right now, that fourth seed from where they're at is 5 games. Making up 5 games in a parity driven NBA now with a lot of your mental lapses isn't good odds. So you're going to have to surprise even Laker fans on making a run here.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Jerome Glassford. Thanks so much for listening. Truly appreciate it. And watching out there, please like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air. Thank you, Blue, by the way. Truly appreciate it. For the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast, we'll be here tomorrow night, pregame. And then, of course, during the game, the simulcast right there on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And then the post game and also a Lakers nightcap. Hours of fun and entertainment that only we can bring to you, the Lakers Fast Break podcast. So, with that all said and done, my friend, I want to get into one aspect of this new rotation that we're going to. I know some people have asked for Vando, who was a integral part of the starting lineup that they had after the trade deadline, getting the Lakers into the playoffs and those first 2 rounds. But I want to get into something that Rodell sent to me this morning. So, okay, he sends me something. Just as far as, I guess, let me see if I can find it. It's something about, that he heard my comments about Jared Vanderbilt. So I want to ask you, my friend, Jared Vanderbilt, with a whopping 3.5 points a game, the guy shoots less than 15% from the 3-point line. So you tell me, my friend, is there a problem there? Is there a thing? This is 3.1 points a game, 15% from behind the arc, 40% shooting overall. You and I have both spoken about how he cannot dribble the ball, how taking it to the basket is an adventure for him, and passing is sometimes difficult for him. So someone that inept on the offensive end, he says he doesn't have a problem with it. I ask you, do you have a problem with it?
Well, you're going to have a problem with it when you're in a 7-game series against a formidable opponent.
But Joe, Rodell says that we pay him only for the defensive end. We don't need to worry about his offense.
It's irrelevant at this point whether we pay him to defend, be offensive, or be offensive. That's not the point. The point is Vanderbilt. Let's talk about the new starting lineup, right? The new starting lineup that's going to work. The balance makes sense to some degree. You have to factor in what each player has to do for it to work. So you have D'Angelo, Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt, LeBron, and AD. So what you have there is you have kind of a balance: 2 offensive players, 2 defensive players, and then LeBron being somewhat of a hybrid in there when he can. That's what you have, right? And LeBron is such an anomaly that you can't really figure out really what that is from a normal standpoint. He's a freak of nature, a 6'8" point guard. I mean, you don't really see those guys in your life usually. It's him and Magic Johnson in my lifetime. That's all. I've never seen anybody. Maybe Larry Bird to some degree, but he was more of a point forward than a point guard. So Scottie Pippen may be another one. That'd be the only other one that I can remember. But in order for that lineup, in order for Vando to be valuable, you have to have the other two offensive players playing at a high clip offensively. And then at that point, you can somewhat balance the fact that AD and Vando are going to be your defenders for two of the five players that you really need them to cover. Vando covering, Kyrie covering, or limiting Doncic, right? Like that's what his job is. The issue though with Vanderbilt when he plays, let's say, a team like Minnesota or Denver, whom have more than two weapons. They have a third. Maybe they have someone coming off the bench that's a sniper. Somebody like Denver last year in the Western Conference Finals. We were just talking about Bruce Brown. That guy was a problem off the bench. And on top of that, you had Porter. You had Jamal Murray knocking shots out of every side angle. You can't guard everyone at that point. Who are you going to put on those guys? And then if Vando can't do what he's supposed to do, and obviously you're having issues with Reeves and Russell playing against those type of players, it doesn't matter at that point. It becomes a major issue, and it becomes magnified even more because you can't rely on Vanderbilt to hit a corner three on a consistent basis to make them work on the other side. See, and that's the point, guys. This is the point. You can combat the opponent if you make them work. You can't stop Jamal Murray. You could put Kobe and Jordan in their prime. They're not going to stop a guy like Jamal Murray on offense. He's too good. The NBA elite offensive player is too good to stop. No one ever really stops anybody. It's got to be either a team effort or just containment. So with that, you got to now make that person work on the other end. You got to make Jamal run around. Can you make him run around, let's say, if D'Angelo is hitting his shots? Yes. Now that makes Austin's job a little easier, makes Vando's job a little easier. Obviously, AD doesn't get burnt out by trying to cover three areas. It's so much detail. This is probably why it's very difficult to coach in the NBA. And then on top of that, you got to deal with the pressures from the media. You got to deal with the pressures from management. You got to deal from the fans. And then you have, worse of all that, the ego of the player. If the guy's on a contract here, if it's a star player who just wants to do what he wants to do, and you've got this whole salad of just chaos. And then that's what it is. That's why we have been preaching deeply on the selection from management and ownership. You have to make sure you pick the right person. Are you capable of identifying who is a leader and who can adapt to this kind of pressure and understand that there's a certain system that needs to be run and how this, you guys are all basketball people, right? Apparently that's what you guys got hired for, right? So what are we missing here? You're supposed to know this. Kurt Rambis, how long have you been in the NBA? 45 years. Rob Pelinka, you won a national championship in Michigan. You might not have been a pro, but you know basketball. You played it. You've been around basketball a lot. You've been an agent. Maybe Jeannie doesn't have that acumen because she's been more of a behind-the-scenes type. I get that, but it's also her job to get the right people to make those decisions. And where we stand in the end here is we're still in flux. We're still in that position as the viewer in saying, is there going to be a mental click that will finally go the way we need it to go and everything kind of comes together? I still feel embarrassed if they do that now because I'm like, really? You weren't doing this before? Because it's a lot easier to win games when you're fresh, isn't it? When right at the beginning of the year, instead of January and February, the dog days of the NBA. I would like to think they would. Denver did it last year. Remember how they kind of tailed off around February?
Mm-hmm.
They got their wins. And then as soon as they kind of took the foot off the gas pedal, they started to kind of come back up towards the end. And then boom, they went into the playoffs and just freaking wrecked shop. I would have preferred that method. but maybe they're just not capable of doing it. And right now they're hitting a little stride, getting our engines going, but I'm going to need to see a little bit more to be confident that they're going to go finally over that little peak that they've been struggling to get over.
So again, like I said, Joe, Rodell said, "Hey, I heard Gerald dissing Vando for only averaging 4 points a game. He's actually averaging 3.1. But need I digress? The guy has not been 100% for most of the season, but he's getting there, and the Lakers are looking a lot better for it. His offense may have gotten worse, but the Lakers don't pay him $44 million over the next 4 years for offense. I think his offense will get marginally better for the more he plays. And I'm pretty confident his defense and activity will get a lot better as he gets healthy. Unfortunately, more Vando should lead to less Cam, which I'm fine with. Cam tries to do way too much on offense, which usually leads to something bad. Poor Cam, he just can't catch a break. I'm not saying I disagree on Cam, because a lot of people have been hard on Cam, and deservedly so. He has been played out there too much, just like Prince. But the guy is trying to keep his job in the NBA. Anytime he's out there, he realizes that, because he knows his next stop might be his last.
Basketball has changed a lot in terms of offense versus defense. You really can't play defense like you used to. Heck, even as far back as 10 years ago. 10 years ago was still somewhat not as physical as it was, let's say, in the 90s and 80s, but there was still this somewhat physicality, I'd say 13 years ago or 14 years ago, when you were watching the 2010 finals. You saw, especially in game 6, everyone was like defense the entire time. And there's a lot of burnout too on top of that, but defense was still somewhat relevant in winning. Nowadays, it's not. It's just not. There's too much fear of flagrant fouls. There's too much fear of obviously getting into foul trouble because, whether it's a hand check or whether it's bodying it up too much. Your criticism at Vando's game is warranted, not because I'm trying to kiss your butt and we do a show together. How do you justify in an offensive era a starter getting only 3 points a game, especially an integral position like the small forward position, which is what he technically plays?
So this year he is getting $4 million, a little over $4 million. But the next 4 years after that, it's I said 44. It's actually $48 million. So you're paying this guy going forward $12 million a year, and this is what you're going to expect out of him for an offensive game, Joe?
It's not. It's going to be a problem when they play the elite teams who take advantage of his deficiency on offense, because what's going to happen is that team that's scheduled to play you at least 4 to 7 games, they're going to know how to play against 4-on-5. AD and LeBron, which it's possible. Stars change things no matter what, right? If they're balling, they can change things. They can make a 4-on-5 offensive disadvantage work because you have AD and you have LeBron. They could cover the other half. They could each cover half, let's say. But you also have to understand that this isn't 35-year-old LeBron. Heck, even 35-year-old LeBron might have been able to get you out of a few ruts late in a playoff run. But this is a 39-year-old LeBron James. He is going to get tired, folks. He is going to get tired. We saw it happen last year. You can't expect him not to get tired another year after that. That's why it's important that Darvin Ham and this team take full advantage of trying to get as many wins as they can now to get into a position where they could at least have at least one series where they can start at home. So they have peace of mind. It's easier preparation to play at home in front of a crowd. Role players always play better behind the home crowd, especially in a playoff series. And then at that point, you're not burnt out right out of the gate in the first round if you were to go 7 games. These are the type of things that if you look at the history of seeding in the NBA, it's just difficult for a team to win 4 series in a row on the road to start the series. There's only one that I remember, and that's the '95 Houston Rockets. And that's how I'm looking at this thing. I'm as much as we're looking at it from a day-to-day, game by game basis, not trying to be cliche on that, not trying to throw the cliche. It's more based off the fact that we can't really get a gauge on it on a positive note. They have shown continuously throughout the entire year that they are gonna show some signs of great basketball and then hit the skids really right after. That's what they showed this year. So they have to show us something else here in the next week or two. They're going to have to show that, okay, almost everybody's relatively healthy. We've kind of had a couple months to put some chemistry together. AD's playing out of his mind. LeBron, been healthy all year, knock on wood. Let's now kick it up a notch and let's see if we can get, a 6 or 7 game winning streak here so we can get some good vibes going for the rest of the year.
Well, the thing is, Joe, they have to win these home games specifically. I understand if the Clippers, they go there and the Clippers are motivated and, you're going to eat it on their remade floor, with them, the home team. But shortly after that, you've got a very tough road trip coming up. And the Lakers have to prove that they can go out and start putting games together on the road. That has been something that has been missing all season is putting games together on the road. So when they do have that schedule that's coming up, when they are at Golden State, at Houston, at Atlanta, at Boston, at New York, at Charlotte, it worries me, Joe. It worries me from what we've seen so far this year because it could turn really bad really fast.
Yeah, it can. It's a I think though we've been burnt by it this year enough to where it won't be a surprise. The Lakers, it's not going to be a mystery how this turns out, good or bad. If they play average basketball, we know why. We've seen it all year. If they play well, and you're seeing signs that they are coming up the standings and are not going to be a play-in team and are actually going to, let's say, be a top 6 team, it's still not a surprise because you have 2 stars on your team and relatively good role players. But even with all that, what is it going to mean come playoff time? I'm conditioned for this already being a Dodger fan. The regular season, the Dodgers are the best regular season team the last 10 years, hell, even more. But the last few years, it's hard to get excited about the regular season and enjoying the regular season because you're anticipating the letdown right away into the playoffs. And that's kind of where we're at with the Lakers right now. We're at this cynical, jaded moment and feeling of, are they going to really go to the next level? Are they really going to contend for a title? It's very difficult to know if they are, especially in the West. The West is so tough. And it's so obvious how tough it is. And what if the East surprises us finally? What if they finally come through? What if you got to deal with Milwaukee and the Sixers and the Celtics too on top of that? Sucker's going to be very hard to come out roses in the end. Everything has to go perfect. There's no margin of error. Perfect as in they have to have enough energy to finish this thing off. LeBron and AD have to stay healthy. And somebody like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves have to be consistent. Have to be. And mental mistakes, fundamental mistakes, things that they haven't really been doing the last 2 games, that is how you have to play ball. Fundamental mistakes, talking about Vanderbilt, is not missing a layup when there's no one in front of you. He's actually made them. What a surprise. He's actually getting the ball going to the hoop and actually making the shot, being a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", with arms from like Inspector Gadget. How are you missing those shots anyways? And look what happens when you don't miss those shots, because those are debilitating, at least from my perspective, mentally. Imagine LeBron takes the ball. LeBron is one of the more unselfish players that's ever played. It's what makes him great in the end, right? He has this perfect pass to a 6'9" guy right at the hoop, and he botches it. I mean, what does that do for your enthusiasm? And when your main guy is putting his head down, the whole team is going to go down. We're down as fans. We're not excited. The fans at the stadium, the few that actually pay attention to the game these days, what are they thinking? I mean, this is the worst crowd I've ever heard at Staples. I've never heard a church like this
Yeah.
in my life.
And they were
It
actually
wasn't.
booing the other day before the
Yeah,
Lakers went
it
on a
wasn't. It
2-game
was.
run.
It wasn't even this bad in 2016 and 2017. I remember distinctively. The reason why it wasn't was because there were young players, and we were excited to see if these guys would develop. We were invested in this new era of basketball. You had D'Angelo that you just drafted. You had Brandon Ingram that just got drafted. You had Julius Randle, who was drafted right after Kobe's, dead season after his Achilles. You had this. You had this like, okay, we got these young guys that are going to be coming up, maybe the 7th pick, the 3 second overall picks. We were excited. Right now, we have LeBron and AD on the team and some good players, but we're not excited because we're watching average basketball. It's more infuriating at that point.
Well, I tell you what, though, when it comes to Vanderbilt, though, it's hard, man. He's got to give you more than what he's giving you now, other than just the obligatory 1 or 2 passes a game for him underneath. If he's offensive rebounding or something to draw the defense to him. Otherwise, you have a problem. Otherwise, we're just resigned to the fact that we're paying this guy for 5 years, 4 million this year and 12 million straight up for the next 4 years, that we're paying this guy just to be a non-factor depending on the matchup in the playoffs each and every year, because he will
Uh,
be played off the floor each and every year.
I'd like to think that the contract that they gave him was a motivator for him, but also a way for them to have some leverage if they need to stack salaries. Someone will take on a $12 million contract if they're trying to unload a $40 million contract, right? And we're not going to know what that entails until the season's over. If the Lakers don't win a championship, the Lakers are going to go into a final year in LeBron's contract, should he pick up the contract, by the way, which is going to be interesting in itself. If LeBron picks up his contract for 2025 and they're going to make the final run with AD and LeBron next year, there's going to be a huge, huge market that Pelinka and the Lakers are probably going to have to go tap into. They're going to have to figure out how to bring somebody in there. They're going to need these contracts to go get them, and they're going to get another first round pick here after the end of the season. They may have to go all out to try to get one more title with LeBron and AD next year. That's for the future. As far as this year, I can't put any value in Vanderbilt on offense. I'm sorry. Anybody wants to argue this point, you can argue it until your ears bleed. Vanderbilt is a horrendous offensive player, but we need him to play defense, and we need him not to screw up when he does get a chance to score. So that means if he's running, if he's slashing, if he's going to catch the outlet pass, or I should say get the pass from the outlet man, you got to make sure, and you have a free pass to the basket, you got to catch that ball. You got to get the layup. I'm not expecting him to hit the corner threes. Get that out of your heads. That's never going to happen. One out of every maybe month if you're lucky. But we need him We need the energy. We need the athleticism to be taken advantage of. And Darvin Ham, you need to devise a plan on that. And they have. They have. Their outlet passing's been good. Their fast break work has been good. Keep it up. Keep it going. Get it better. Get the spacing better. Get to the hoop. Vanderbilt, get to the hoop. Try to go as close to the hoop as possible to try to make that shot. And if you can get us 4 to 6 points on some fast breaks, a lot of times fast break points mean more than just 2 points. It could mean an energy boost. It could be a momentum changer. So do well on defense and make sure you do the basics on offense. And then what you're going to have too is you're going to have D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, if they're going to be in that starting lineup with him, they're going to have to come through on offense. They have to pick up the slack. If not, you're going to have 3 guys that aren't doing what they were put in to do. D'Angelo and Austin have to be They have to be consistent on offense because we know they can't play defense very well.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro. Please check out Joe Soro today. Not tonight, actually. Check him out. Check out his latest show if you didn't already. It's Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro, along with Jamie Sweet. They had a great conversation last night. They will have, or actually, Joe will have a great conversation tomorrow night. Be part of it. Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. Late night, tomorrow night on the Lakers Fast Break. I will say this, Joe, when it comes right down to it, there's some great questions there. First up, I'm going to hit right now the what Lift is asking. Joe, do you keep Ham next year if the Lakers don't get far in the playoffs? And something like Southern Comfort said as well. Do they just clean house? If you do make a clean sweep if they don't make the playoffs or get just like 3 and out.
The likelihood is they're not gonna clean house. There's a business to run, and they're not gonna trade LeBron James. They will never trade LeBron James unless it was for another superstar. LeBron would have to demand a trade for them to do it, and AD would likely follow. So that's the only way they'll gut the team is if AD and or LeBron come to the front office and said we want to go up, we want to be traded. However, the thing with AD is different than LeBron. No one's going to want LeBron. No one's going to want LeBron, not at $50 million. Sorry. AD, yes, you would get a lot of calls for AD. Miami being probably the big one. They will love to have AD in Florida. And then there's maybe an Oklahoma City call. They're like, ooh, we're an AD away from competing for a championship for sure. As long as we don't give Shea or Chet. You guys can take it whatever you want from that. And we got a lot of draft picks. And I gotta say this. If that is the situation, I think that's the best scenario for the Lakers. They can stack some draft picks and make some good calls there. It's better. It's better than not. It's better than losing these guys for nothing or bringing a couple of guys that match contracts that might not be worth a damn. That's the only way they gut this team. They're gonna ride this until the wheels fall off. And my fear for the current landscape of the NBA is they're making it much more difficult for free agents to be free agents, which we've discussed here a few times. They cut out the one thing they owned in all of sports, which was the excitement of the summer and the excitement of the deadline. They've killed themselves there. And I really want to ask Adam Silver why they did that. For what? Why? Because you want somebody like Zion Williamson to stay in New Orleans? That's not going to help your league. Zion going to New York would have helped you better. Zion signing somewhere else. I mean, as bad as Durant going to Golden State was, your ratings were skyrocketing when it was Cleveland and the Golden State Warriors. Even with the sweep or the 5-game series. Why would you do that? Why? I don't understand why Baseball seems to somehow get it. Everybody's complaining about, oh, this team is spending all this money and it's not fair. Well, if you look at how the Rays still are competitive and their payroll is 1/10 of the big boys, they're competing. Uh, those who spend too much money, they don't always win. So, like, what is it? Like, is it just to say, hey, look, we want to complain about something, which is usually what it is. If this doesn't work, they're complaining. If it works this way, they're still complaining. But there were some like bona fide like ownership of things, and that was free agency and the deadline. And the NBA screwed themselves in that. They don't. It's not exciting anymore. It's not. The last 2 summers have sucked when they were the most exciting part of the NBA. Twitter went nuts. Social media went nuts. People went nuts with this player going here and going there. No more. Now you don't have that anymore. So how is that playing to the Lakers this summer? Well, let's just say if the Lakers don't win it this year, I'm going to predict that the Lakers are going to go after a third guy with the assets they have. I believe that's what's going to happen.
So let me ask you this. I know Isabel put it in the chat. Gerald, are the nightcaps on the audio podcast? No, not sure I see them. We only put one on there, heavy duty. I just don't want to flood the audio channel with a whole bunch of stuff unless you guys ask for it, because I just don't get the response back and the numbers back, to be quite honest with you. I don't get enough. It seems to like break up as far as people listening on that. But if you want me to put them on there, I will put them on there if that's the case. So I will start putting them on there. But again, it just seems like when I put the more shows I put each and every day on the channel, the less people hear them. So it's really weird how that works out. But again, if that's what you guys want, that's what we'll go ahead and do. But Isabel asked, okay, no worries, Isabel. But yeah, her question is, if we stay healthy, how can we match up with Denver? Do we need a specific trade for a low to mid-tier player? It's an adjustment thing to beat them. Well, I think we need something more to beat them. I think we need an addition if we if we realistically think we're going to go ahead and beat them.
So last year when they played Denver, there were 2 games where they led for a good amount of that game. Game 2 in Denver and then game 4 in LA. But both of them ended badly because one team was making shots and the other team was missing shots towards the end of the games. That the way we gauged it was the fact that they ran out of gas. I remember game 4, LeBron was getting to the hoop at will, and they had, I think, a 13-point lead going into the half, and then he ran out of gas in the second half, and no one picked up the slack. So in order for them to beat Denver in the playoffs, you have to have a more fresh LeBron, and you have to have a more fresh AD with a couple players making open shots consistently the entire series. If not, it'll be another sweep. That's if you get there. Because I think they're going to see Denver in the Western Conference Finals if I have to guess on how they're going to end up here, guys. Wherever they're going to get seeded, I think they're going to get seeded somewhere in the 6 to 8 range. So if Denver gets, let's say, the 1 seed, they're going to probably Lakers are going to have to beat the 3 seed and then whatever the 2 seed is probably, and then not face the 1 seed until the Western Conference Finals. I think that's probably how it plays out. And then at that point, it's just going to depend on, again, the energy. Do they have enough depth? Will they add a third guy between now and the deadline? Who would that third guy be? What do you have to give up to get that third guy? Is it worth it? Is it a lateral move? It's too much. It's too much information. We're not going to know until it actually happens and we see how it plays out. We need D'Angelo, though, folks. We need D'Angelo. He handles the ball. Who else on this team handles the ball besides LeBron? Austin. But do you want Austin to be juggling like he does? Austin, the fact that he can juggle, I call it juggling, it's dribbling. and not turn the ball over is pretty remarkable. The problem is, though, he doesn't have enough speed to get by us. So he's essentially juggling in front of his defender. And his defender doesn't really need to react. He knows he can't go to the left quick enough for him to go left. So he'll just sit there, he'll let Austin just get all that energy out. And then as soon as he does a little head movement, put your hand up a little bit there, give him a little some, and then if he misses it, you did your job. Doesn't take a lot of energy for some of these athletic freaks to just stand in front of Austin. Now, if D'Angelo Russell is doing something, yeah, he's not this athletic freak, but his shot is quick and deadly when it goes in. You have to worry about that. And he can go mid-range and shoot from deep, and his release is quick. And if his release was quick, like it was in Dallas, and it's going in, that's a problem. That's a problem for the opponent. And that's what we need. So if you're going to trade D'Lo for somebody else, you're going to need at least a guy that can handle the ball and make shots consistently. Who is that guy? I don't know. There's so many factors in this. There's so much inconsistency in so many areas. There's so many ifs. There's so many ifs in this thing to the point where you guys have to know that it's gonna be a game of poker. Yeah, a poker player has skills. They don't let the opponent know what they're thinking. They're good at the poker face. They're good at knowing and gauging the table a little bit. But there's still a little bit of luck that you need. You need that right card to come in at the right time, and then boom, it starts opening everything up. The Lakers, Rob and the Lakers and the Laker team in general, if this thing works out, they're the smartest guys on the planet. They're the best players on the planet. If it doesn't work, they're the dumbest. There's no middle area here. Nothing. And all that is revolved around that luck with a little bit of prep. They need the luck. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if we're going to get our card between now and championship time.
I know Kuzma's name is being bandied about in the chat room. Isabel, Rui, Gabe at 29 pick. If you were the other general manager, would you seriously take Gabe Vincent now?
No.
With all of his knee injuries? Come on.
No. The only way you take Gabe Vincent is if you're trying to unload a massive contract. So I'll give you another example.
And there's 3 years on Gabe.
You want Caruso. You guys are talking about Caruso. I'm talking about Caruso. Kuzma's not going to happen. He makes too much money anyways. That means
25 is what he's right now.
Yeah, you're going to have to trade Rui and or
Prince.
D'Lo.
It'd probably be D'Lo and Prince.
But why would Washington take Prince? For what? For a first-round pick?
It'd be D'Lo, Prince, and a first-rounder, what I would assume. But Isabel was saying Gabe Vincent, and I'm like, nobody wants Gabe Vincent right now. He still has years on his contract, and he's just coming off knee surgery.
But why would Washington make that trade?
Yeah.
I'm not taking Prince. I want Reeves and D'Lo and a first-round pick. Now, if LA came back and said, no, come on, man, that's not fair. How about Rui? Yeah. Well, I mean, do they want Rui? They already had Rui. Probably don't want Rui. So it's probably going to be Reeves, D'Lo, and a first-round pick for Kuzma. So it's not a discussion, folks. It's not going to work.
Plus, Rob would not admit to the mistake by trading him back to the Lakers.
Yeah, it's backtracking like that. The whole thing with Caruso. There's a chance to get Caruso, but you're going to have to do what I think would have to happen is you'd have to take on Lonzo Ball's remaining $20 million. And even then, I don't know if they'll do that trade. They probably still want a first-round pick. So if you want Caruso, my prediction, because Levine is not coming, guys. Too much money. You got aprons and you got hard caps. Can't do it. Cannot do it. It's not legal. Cannot do it. unless you trade half the team for him, right? Which is pointless. But let's say you want Caruso. You're going to have to take Lonzo's contract that last year. That's my prediction on that. If Rob calls, so someone had just asked if Rob and Darvin Ham were in front of me, what would I ask them? Here's what I would ask them. I would say, Rob, Darvin, you guys need a player like Caruso. Are you willing to take on? Is Janie willing to take on Lonzo's contract to get Caruso?
I just got to remember too, though, for Rob, he would have to swallow a lot of pride because you remember
Screw
he
the pride.
chose THG. He chose
He's in
THG.
a much worse position now than eating his pride. No one gives two craps about Rob's pride.
He may. I'm not saying. I'm just saying he may.
I highly doubt that would be the clincher on that.
Plus, there's a bidding war that would ensue for Alex Caruso, which the Lakers just don't have enough assets.
No, they don't. That's why they would have to take. It's very likely. I mean, very likely. If they wanted Caruso, they'd have to take on Lonzo's next year's contract, which is $20 million and change. Bulls would be out of that issue, and you'd have to give them a first-round pick. You're essentially going to trade a first-round pick and take on $20 million salary while dumping whatever player you put in there, whatever player they want. I don't know who it is, to get Caruso. Caruso is a fantasy, folks. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Oh, well, Isabel says that package was actually for Grant, Jeremy Grant in Portland. He has one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Yeah, if you can't get Levine, you're not going to get Jeremy Grant.
He has really one of the worst contracts in the NBA. That's you take on that. He's a solid player. Don't get me wrong, but 160 million, man, for that guy. For a rotation player at best.
For those who pay attention to the show, this is why I keep saying the market.
Do you really want to pay Jeremy Grant $30 million?
The fact that Jeremy Grant, so talk about Caruso and you talk about Jeremy Grant. Caruso makes $9 million a year. We're talking about, I mean, a bargain of all bargains. A first All NBA guard for $9 million a year, and a guy who's a champion, who's a team player, and has a knack of hitting the shot when you need it. And he's getting $9 million. And Jeremy Grant in the Pacific Northwest, Siberia of Portland, making that much money doing what? Dressing up as one of the characters from Wizard of Oz. That's what he's known for. He was an integral part during that run with Denver in 2020 where they were competitive. But then after that, he went to Detroit, goes to Portland, and is just an overpaid guy who's got talent. That's it. There's no significance. There's no win share that matters with him on your team.
So let me ask you this. You would not consider a guy that makes 27 this year, then 29, 32, 34, and 36 the next years after that?
No, I can't. You can't consider it. It's not good business.
Does he give you that commensurate amount of output? And probably not.
But you're also sabotaging your team for the future.
Yeah.
The NBA, even with all these changes, is still a one or the other scenario. Either you're going to be really bad to get the talent, especially now with the rules being what they are, even more. You have to get really lucky that you get a good draft class where you can actually get talent, or you win. You're competing for a title. That's it. There is no middle ground. Either that, you're going to be stuck like Utah. You're going to be stuck like the Lakers are right now to some degree. You're going to be stuck like New Orleans to some degree. until Zion decides that he wants to be a superstar. Staying in the middle is, I don't know what that serves you other than just kind of watching basketball and enjoying the game and not caring about the end result.
Again, there's a lot of things the Lakers have to consider, but just throwing away so much of your future just for the now, just for a quick fix. I know Isabel talking about what type of matchups or what type of adjustments we need to match up with Denver. Unless Denver gets a major injury, it's really going to be hard for anyone in the West to match up to them right now, Joe.
Yeah, because they're seasoned. They have, in my opinion, the MVP on their team. Jamal Murray is the perfect two guy on that team, and then they have championship medal, and their team basketball and their team chemistry is really really good. But I'm not gonna say there isn't a chance if you
No,
it
they get
you
an
always
injury
you
at the
always
key
have a
spot.
chance. You always have a chance with LeBron and AD. That's why you can never really go all the way and say, I mean, we've said that the Lakers are not a championship team, and at this point, they're still not because they're a 500 team. But it wouldn't be a surprise if they ended up coming through. You have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's just that's the reality. It's just we gotta wait it out at this point. And my instincts tell me that the Lakers are more than likely going to roll with what they have. There's not probably going to be a trade that is going to be of any significance. If there's a transaction to be made, you're likely going to get a buyout player, somebody like Gordon Hayward. I don't know. You're on mute, Joe.
If they're close enough to they have to you have to consider also as well if they're close enough to being under the cap, which they are now. As I talked about on yesterday's show, and which was mentioned by Bobby Marks of ESPN, the Lakers are in a position where if they don't, spend, just carelessly at the trade deadline, they can be under the cap. They can get out of the repeater tax, and they can get Genie and the buses $14 million. I'm not saying that should be a motivating factor at all. I want this team to win. I think you should spend all out personally, but we have to put that into consideration because we have spoken about in the past how the Lakers, when given the opportunity, their brass has penny pinched when called upon. We talked about the PPP loan. We talked about Jerry West. We talked as far as the season tickets are concerned. We've talked about areas in which they've penny pinched before on contracts. So I'm not putting out of the realm a possibility that the Lakers, like you said, Joe, will do nothing, just basically shave off a little bit of money just to make sure that they are avoiding the repeater tax and get themselves in a better financial position in the years ahead.
The Lakers have always maintained a balance between salary and winning. Dr. Buss would spend the extra money if he felt it would propel them to the title. He has shown that, and I don't see any reason why Jeannie wouldn't either. If she's like her dad, everybody says she's like her dad. Okay, um, she'll spend that money if it means that player will make the determining factor in getting them over the hump. And they were right more often than not. They were right. In the three championships that they won with Kobe and Shaq, they were still penny pinching to some degree. They couldn't really go all out and go get a Scottie Pippen when he was available. I know that in 2000, I know that there was talk that Phil had made some suggestions to Dr. Buss to see if he could get him. He said, we just can't afford it. They were tight on Robert Ory towards the end there. They actually had to let him go after the '03 season. Kobe demanded a trade because Dr. Bust didn't see anybody in those 2 years, that 2 year gap, where he felt he could risk going that route. It didn't happen until Pau Gasol presented itself, and then that changed everything. And I think somebody might have, and I'm thinking it was Jerry West, might have sat Kobe down again, because Jerry West had sat down with Kobe in '04 when he was thinking about going to the Clippers, and Jerry talked him out of it. The irony in that is hilarious, by the way, considering where Jerry is now. But that was because it was Donald Sterling. Now Donald Sterling's not there anymore. But I believe somebody sat Kobe down. I believe it might have been Jerry West. This is my speculation, and said, "Look, Kobe, this is still a business too, and I've been here long enough. You kind of have to be maybe a little patient." And then, of course, he finally came back and said, "All right, I don't want to go to Pluto. Let's roll what we got." And the Lakers were a 1 seed going into February until somebody fell on them in Memphis, and now the Lakers were worried about losing integral part of that team, and then of course Mitch did his big trade with Pau Gasol and changed a legacy. So there's a lot of balancing there, guys. There's a lot of balancing between economics. It's we get on these guys because we're ungrateful a-holes. I'm gonna admit it. I'll admit it, at least for me. I'm ungrateful. I'm greedy. I'm a Laker fan. All they've shown us is winning. I've watched six championships, 9 finals appearances in my 32 years of watching basketball as a coherent adult. And it's still not enough. We're still, oh, this guy sucks. Oh, Jeannie should go sell pencils outside Staples. She should go, Darvin Ham and Rob Pelinka, blah, 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 blah. Really, it's childish stuff. Excuse me. In the end, it's it's probably not that easy to run, folks. Yes, they have money. Yes, everybody thinks when you have money and you're rich, all your problems are easy. No, folks, that's not true. Sure, it makes it easy. You don't have to worry about your mortgage. You don't have to worry about a car payment. But a lot of times, stress is stress. Okay, stress is stress. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. And imagine going to work every day and somebody either online, outside the building, in your family, your friends are constantly telling you, oh, they think you suck. They want to throw you off the building. Oh, they wish that you would sell it to the people at Oracle. Somebody call this person and get them at. Like, imagine every day all you're hearing is this negative, negative, negative. It would get taxing after all. But for us, it's entertainment. We're here to entertain. We're here to create drama. Why? Because human beings love nonsense drama. And here we are. We're here to give you the 411, our observations, if you will, right? The little snack pack that we can give you every now and then. And right now, I wish I could be one of those guys that could kind of just, let's see how it goes, right? I really wish I could be that guy, but I can't. I've tried. I'm a miserable bastard when it comes to winning and losing. I'm miserable. I hate losing, and it's never enough winning.
It isn't. It isn't. But we will see if the Lakers can continue the winning ways, and hopefully they have started to figure things out with this new old lineup and the rotation that Ham is sticking with for the foreseeable future. Hopefully we can go ahead and see more wins, and it'll start tomorrow night with Brooklyn and the Nets. We'll see what happens. But again, please be part of what we're doing tomorrow, the pregame show, plus also as well, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, another simulcast out there for you for all of our various outlets. Then, of course, the best post game that's out there, the Lakers Fast Break. And to top things off, Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soros. So, looking forward to a full evening of Lakers basketball and great talk right here at the Lakers Fast Break. All right, Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out?
I guess my final thought is I'm going to keep my eye on players like D'Angelo and Austin Reeves and see if they can go up a level. Those are the two I'm waiting on. Austin Reeves, third-year player, a lot more room to improve. Let's be fair. I want to see if he can go up another level. If he can go up to another level, then that's going to bode very, very well for the Lakers. D'Angelo. Where does D'Angelo stand here in his career? He's been in the league 9 seasons now, almost 10. Will he be that guy that finally puts it all together? Puts it all together in this particular situation. He's made an all-star team, which, other than being a Hall of Famer, is the next best thing. Being an NBA all-star is very difficult, especially in a guard position, whether it's in the East or in the West. So he's done that. But can D'Angelo do something he's never really done, and that's be at this particular level of trying to get to a championship and consistently be what we all have seen him be in spurts. That's what I'm wanting to see. We know LeBron is going to do what he does. We know AD is going to do what he does. But will those two guys, who are huge, integral parts of this team, will they up their level? Because if they do, what you've seen the last 2 games will be the norm. That's how talented AD and LeBron are. They just need a couple guys to be with them a little bit. Not at the talent level, but at their execution level. Because if LeBron is going to the basket, or if AD is cutting, and then you got to deal with, shoot, am I going to sag off and go towards AD to make sure he's got another defender he's got to deal with? But if he does that, does that mean I leave an open D'Angelo Russell? And if I leave him open, he's going to hit that 3-pointer or that 20-footer. And if he's hitting that, you're screwed. Because now it opens things up for AD. AD is going to smoke anyone one-on-one break into the basket. Anyone. And you've seen it this last few weeks. LeBron, forget about LeBron. LeBron, he's defying logic at this point. The guy can still get to the basket. And if that guy gets to the basket, just goodbye. Goodbye. You're not going to do jack squat with that. And you can make that consistent, and you can make that more potent if you've got a threat that's nearby. And if you've got 2 that are a threat nearby, it's even better. No, Isabel, I'm not optimistic. It's not optimism. I'm trying to tell you guys, when you see something happening like the last 2 games, and you've seen good basketball and the results as a win, you then have to explain why these things happen. The reason why we've been negative most of the time is because they've sucked. Therefore, we're going to spew the negative, because it is negative. They've sucked in areas they shouldn't. But they've been really good this last couple games. Therefore, you need to know what has been seen in case you aren't there minute by minute. See, we're watching the games minute by minute. I know a lot of Laker fans, even those who watch the show, are not watching every minute of the game. So it's important that we give the synopsis as clearly as possible and of course explain. I mean, that's what we're doing here, right, G? I mean,
Yes.
that's what we're here to give you a kind of like an analysis on steroids, if you will, so that it makes it more valuable. If I just sat here and said, well, AD had 32 points, 10 rebounds. LeBron had 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Yeah, they played real well. You're probably going to think I'm a jackass. And I don't really watch the games or pay attention. Which, by the way, that's pretty much 80% of the people on these big networks, aren't they? They're box score people or Twitter watchers. And that would defeat everything that we've said about those guys. We would look like hypocrites.
Yes.
If that was the case. So the frustration with these games, as much as I love the Lakers, is if it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't watch either. But I have to. I have an obligation. We have an obligation to actually tell you things that maybe you didn't spot or understand. Well, that means you have to watch. And by the way, you have to watch the boring parts too. Like, how is AD cutting and doing his screens? How is he diving to the basket? Why is he standing at the 3-point line when he should be diving or slashing? These are the things in the end, when we're sitting on 1 million viewers, subscribers, that's what's going to be built at the end. And when you start getting into that back and forth with those big shots out there, we're going to be able to take anybody down. We're going to be able to take anybody down. What are they going to say to us that we don't already know? And by the way, if we find out that they're saying something that's not true, we're going to have the ammo to shoot it down, which is my favorite part, because that happens all the time. And it's tough. I feel bad sometimes, actually. Somebody will be talking about something that happened in a football game. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. When did you see that? Oh, you can tell they weren't watching the game. The Mike Tomlin thing, right? We've talked about the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. I've watched every Mike Tomlin coached game. What are you going to tell me that I don't already know? Joe, you're not being fair. Joe, winning records. Joe, this, Joe, that. Okay. That's easy to just flip on the Google and see. Oh yeah, look, 9-8, 9-7, 10-7. Oh yeah. I go, did you watch the games? The meat of things. Sean had brought something up a few months back about Magic Johnson, and somebody talks about the greatest of all time, and who's valuable and who's this and who's that. I want you guys, I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment. You guys have heard the term usage rate, right? It's an analytical thing, right? But so is points, rebounds, and assists. Those are analytics, right, G? Our whole life, that's how we based a good player. So not all analytical stats are actually bad. Actually, some are pretty crazy good. Usage rate is one of them, one that has just been popular the last decade, maybe in some change. Go look at Magic Johnson's usage rate and the results from that, and you will realize how phenomenal that guy was at basketball. It's remarkable. And those are the things, I guess, that makes me happy when I see and you learn. You're like, I can't wait to go tell people. And that's it. We're here for credibility. We're here for honesty. You guys like it. And then, of course, a little entertainment. Sometimes at Gerald's expense, but Gerald's a trooper and he can take it.
All I'll say is yes, Vando being a little bit healthier has been great for as far as concerned. Obviously, his enthusiasm and energy at times has helped the Lakers, but his offense is atrocious. And it's something where you get in the right matchup, you get the right scheme, and we already have enough issues with Darvin Ham's coaching already, ladies and gentlemen. It gets to the point where, you know what, he can be schemed off the floor, and that really doesn't help you. Just, again, as I point out, we owe him $48 million the next 4 seasons on top of the $4 million we owe him today. So yeah, I mean,
I'm not. The contract things don't work like they used to, Gerald. These are assets now because of the way
yeah, well,
the
that's not a
salaries are
good
structured.
asset to
No,
have
it's
if he
not.
if
No,
he's
no, it's
scoring three
not.
points a game.
No, it's not. But I'm going to say that there's always going to be a player that's making a lot of money that still has value,
Mhm.
where a contract like this can be an
At four and
asset.
a half million, it's okay. At 12 million,
12
it's
is a
not.
sweet spot. 12 is a sweet spot. Let's say you have somebody that's making, let's say D'Angelo. What is D'Angelo making? He's making
17, I should
almost
think.
17 million, right? And he's averaging around 18 million a year. So now you have 18, and then you have Vando who's making 12. That's $30 million between those two players. So this summer, let's say D'Angelo picks up his contract, right? You have now $30 million to maybe find someone that might be a perfect number 3. I'm just saying. These are trade. The only way you can get around this stupid contract thing that the NBA has concocted the last 20 plus years is by having enough contracts to be able to move for a player that you might be able to use. There is no other way, Gerald. There's nothing else. If they had not signed Vando, you get nothing out of him. He just goes away.
Okay, at 3 points a game, he's got
It's
a
not about
slightly above his defensive rating is slightly above average. You
it,
look at the stats, you look at
it's not
the
about
eyeball
that though.
test.
It's not
It
about
is
that.
about that.
No,
It
it's
is
not.
about
So here, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm not naming any names here. I'm just giving you an idea here. Let's say you've got a player this summer that a team wants to get rid of. Okay, and that person has 4 years, 30 mil per left, so 120 mil for the next 4 years. But they're like, man, we got to get rid of this contract. Now, this particular player would work perfect with AD and LeBron next year. Let's just, for discussion purposes. Now you have D'Angelo, who's making 18, Vanderbilt, who's making 12. You can trade those two guys for that player. And for the other team, it's a win. Why? Because D'Angelo's going on a last year contract, and you're only paying Vando another 3 years at 12 mil instead
so
of
you're
paying
paying
this other
4 years.
guy 30.
He has 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
No, 4 million this year, and then another 4 on top of
Would
that.
you rather pay 12 or 30? And then he can get traded for something else later too. It's not out of the realm here. Nothing stops. There's no contract that's untradeable. If you don't believe me, you can look at.
There is no contract that's untradeable. I mean,
Yeah,
we traded for a contract that was thought to be untradeable in Russell Westbrook.
yeah.
But again,
But that one
how
doesn't count.
doesn't
That
my
one
book?
doesn't count. He was halfway through the season. The only commitment anybody had was for half a season. I don't count that. I'm talking about, let's say, Bradley Beal. Who the hell thought somebody would pick up that contract with that history of health? Phoenix did. That's what I'm saying, Gerald. It's not an overpay. It's an overpay based off his ability, absolutely. But he wasn't signed because of his talent. He was signed because they may be able to use that later. You understand this, right? I feel like I'm explaining this too much.
It's the logic on it is not sound, because when they signed, there was no need to rush him into that. Of course, just absolutely just signed right away when he was offered that, because he's not going to get that anywhere else. He is not going to get playing like he is, where he has played literally off the floor in crunch time of games, where he's played literally off the floor in playoff games. Again, I'm hoping his offense will improve. Maybe it will. But he's not as young as everybody gives him the credit for. He's already in his mid 20s. He's already becoming the player that he is shaped out to be. And if that's the case, I'm sure he has some confidence issues right now. So maybe he'll go ahead and evolve into a little bit better offensive player. He needs to,
Well, look at
because it sticks out, man. It sticks out,
well,
and it
looking
doesn't
at
stick out as much now, making 4.5 million. But starting next year, for the next 4 years after that, that sticks out a little bit more.
he's only making 10 and a half
But then
next
it
year,
ramps up,
and then it ramps up to 11 and a half, and then 12 and a half. It's not that much money. The
and then
salary cap
13
is
and a
going to
half
go
the
up.
next year.
That's an ML that's going to be an official mid-level exception money at that point. It's not going to matter. But that's the seasoning in a trade. That's the seasoning. A big one would be an 18, $20 million player, and then you throw that in there to even it out, to just add the seasoning to it. That's the only reason in my book that they paid him what they paid him. It's a friendly contract. It's an easy contract to move, despite it being 4 years. I think the last year on it is a player option too,
Which he'll take,
which he'll
most likely.
maybe. Don't be
If he's
surprised, man. Nerlens Noel didn't make that smart decision. Sometimes these
that
guys
was
make.
like $75 million, I think.
Schroeder didn't make that, smart decision. See, Gerald, you're thinking logically, which is fine. 100% correct.
Shame on me for thinking
You're
logically.
100% correct on everything you're saying, logically. But we've seen these guys do illogical things. We've seen it. It's like, dude, you just got offered $84 million. What? How did you turn down $84 million? This happened like recently. So it's you're a genius or you're the dumbest guy in the sport. And it all depends on a little bit of luck. That decision is just a little luck. That's all it is. That's where we're at. Well, Isabel, I still have my Hennessy here.
You'll have some tomorrow night.
I'll have some tomorrow night. I am not a big drinker. I am a social drinker with friends. I don't come home and have a drink. I have a drink at night for the nightcap because I'm with my friends, and there you go. It's a social gathering. I usually come home and watch sports and watch movies or whatever and get work done, and that's it. I don't really need stimulus. God gave me a natural stimulant. I only drink because it's, again, like I said, it's just a social thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, you will get to see him drink more socially tomorrow night, late night, with Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. Hopefully he will
I'm sorry.
find
Let me answer the question here, G. Sorry. Isabel, I started drinking Hennessy in college with my buddy Adam.
Okay.
We would do Hennessy and Coke, because if you're drinking straight liquor and you're in that area where you might have to drive later, it's a little bit more difficult. So I would have Hennessy and Coke, and we would drink enough to where we gave ourselves at least an hour or so to sober up in case we needed to drive. Empire Jeff, where you been, man?
Great to have
You
you
got to
here.
come on my
Jeff.
show, by the way.
Yes. Jump on Lakers Nightcap.
Email me. I got to talk to you.
All right. Well, there you go. Hopefully he'll become a part and maybe a guest stop on Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. So go ahead and check it out tomorrow night. Or if you didn't catch last night's show with Jamie Sweet, go ahead and check that out right here on the Lakers Fast Break channel. So for Joe Soro, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Tomorrow it is the Brooklyn Nets stopping by the Crypt to face off against the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, pre-game. Of course, during the game, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And then after the game, the post-game, best post-game in town, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And then after that, stop by for a nightcap with Joe Soro. Hopefully he'll have different music sometime down the road.
I'm,
Maybe.
I'm working on it, man. I gotta
Okay.
do something here.
Sharing that revenue, my friend. Those bots don't mind when they go
I'll
ahead. Beep,
I'll
beep, beep, beep,
I'll,
beep.
I'll figure out a plan to get that figured out here. I'm already on it. I'll let you
Okay.
know.
Okay. I know you want to keep that. I know you like that. I know that theme song or the intro music or the countdown music is something you really like, but unfortunately there are others that like it as
Oh
well.
no, I'm all for everyone earning their for their talents. It's just I'm having an issue finding music that I can pay for instead of sending out royalties. There are music out there that you can purchase, just like again a logo. So I'm trying to figure that out and getting it done here soon. I'll save Lakers fast break from the royalty thing for the time being though.
It is what it is, man. It's just again, I hate to see your hard work taken away by someone else just going along for a free ride.
Yes,
So
yes. There's always a solution. Let's just put it that way. There's always a solution.
So once again, it is the Lakers fast break. Truly appreciate you joining us again tomorrow. Brooklyn, the Lakers pregame, during the game with playback, of course post game, and then Lakers nightcap with Joe Soro. Joe needs a music man at part, Jeff. Yeah, email Joe. Yeah, the music that he's currently using, Jeff, is
Yeah,
being
EJ,
shared.
email me, man. If you've got an avenue where I can purchase something or somebody can make me something, please let me know. Matter of fact, email me. I'm going to give you my number. I don't think it might be just easy for us to talk on the phone or text on the phone.
Okay, well there you go. Hopefully we can get that squared away. But go
Oh, by
ahead
the
and
way, EJ, we got to go to a Laker game.
okay.
We got to go to a Laker game, and it looks like you're talking Dodgers now. You're talking my game too. We're definitely gonna have to get some material here and put it together.
There you go, indeed. But once again, it is Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. Check out the next episode tomorrow night after a full schedule of Lakers fast break programming and the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. That'll be tomorrow, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.